this is going to sound crazy, but the first 30 minutes and the last 3 minutes of our days are when our subconscious is the most susceptible, and we can reprogram our brain or do whatever it is, habits, develop new things. And so we're in a state of hypnosis the first 30 minutes and the last 30 minutes of the day. And so I'm very intentional, very careful about what I'm looking at, what I'm consuming, what I'm saying to myself in the first 30 minutes of my day. And so I wake up and I try to just like really, today's gonna be a great day. I'm full of energy. I love doing shows.
Yeah.
But there's such a commitment. That's how we met.
Yeah.
Did you know that? We're live.
Yeah.
Like, are we really being filmed right now?
Yeah, the whole thing.
Is this how you do it? You just start talking?
Yeah, we just start going.
You don't be like, welcome to the podcast.
Well, usually what happens is we like just start chatting, and then eventually I'm like, after about 30 minutes, I'm like, oh yeah, welcome.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm dead. What was the original question? Oh, I love doing shows. We met in a show. That's how we know each other.
Yeah.
Back in college.
Good old days.
And then, but it's so hard to commit to a show because they're usually like 3 to 6 months commitment. Yeah. That's just like a short one. And so there's this new thing called, I think, MTTA, Musical Theater something Arizona. They just changed their name, so I don't remember. Okay. But what they do is they do showcases.
Oh.
Instead of a full-blown musical, they do showcases. And it's kind of like Les Mis in concert vibe. Like you walk up to the microphone and do your part. And so you send an audition tape, they cast you, they send you all the resources, and then you come together for 3 days and put on a show.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah, so I did their production back in, I think, November. They did Big Fish, and I went for 3 days and rehearsed with the leads, and then one rehearsal with the choir, and then we put on the show, like, basically. And so that's what's happening this weekend. I'm in The Sound of Music.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, with my roommate. No, I'm just I've got one small side part, but my roommate's the one she's not musically inclined.
Oh.
But I convinced her to do the last one.
Yeah.
And then she convinced me to do this one. She was like, my parents would love The Sound of Music.
Is she good?
Yeah, she can sing. People can sing, but she's just not like performer or storyteller.
It's like not her
thing.
Okay,
she's like, I can sing a note, and she's in the choir, so it's like ensemble vibes. So, anyways, that's what I'm.
Do you have a solo part, or are you just singing in the choir?
I have not read my music, so I don't know.
You get there and they're like, come up to
my name on the cast list was ensemble, and then also I was under Ursula, but no one knows who Ursula is in The Sound of Music. I think she's like a maid or like a friend. Or one of the nuns. I don't remember. Right? I was like, did I get the musical right? And so
it's actually The Little Mermaid.
Can you imagine? I'm like Ursula. That is not my character type, but that would be great. Poor unfortunate soul. No, that'd be fun. But that's the name of the character. I'm the worst. I'm literally leaving here and I'm gonna open up the thing and read it for the first time. But that's the excitement of it all, and I like the little commitment, but it looks great on my resume. So
true.
Yeah.
Do you hope to like work your way up to doing some bigger things in the future?
Yeah.
Like what's the goal?
What's the dream?
Yeah, what's the dream?
I love that you brought this up. It's always been Glinda on Broadway.
Okay.
And I know like that's everyone's answer, and like with Wicked coming out, like everyone is big fans, but it's always been. I just auditioned. I flew to LA and auditioned for Wicked on Broadway.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like May of last year, and I plan to keep pursuing that. And
how'd it go?
Slowly, it was great. I mean, it was such a cool experience.
Yeah.
There was hundreds of people lined up outside, and I obviously didn't move forward with it.
Yeah.
I love glancing to you because I feel like that meme where he's like, "You should hear this too."
Yeah.
Anyways, so yeah, I auditioned. It was great. It was definitely terrifying.
Yeah.
Well, what threw me off, I walked in the room, and the director, I recognized him. I was like, you are, not the director, the casting manager. Like, I knew his face.
Really?
Because I know, I just am obsessed.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's him. And then I walked in, I was like, this is the room where they rehearsed for Dancing with the Stars. Like, I was like, whoa, I bet. Anyways, and that threw me off, and I feel like I just was scared. But it was great practice, and I said that I did it, and I'm going to try to do it again. I've auditioned for other Broadway productions, but via tape. Flying out to LA was fun.
Yeah. Yeah, auditions are, I've only done a few. I haven't done a bunch. But Like it's like a rep, right? The more you do, you get a little more comfortable.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun.
I agree. It's fun to do the thing that I love in front of people who love what I'm doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, because the community's so passionate about it. Yeah.
I agree.
And they're like all invested in it too.
Yeah.
So totally.
It's a good.
That's
good
exciting
place.
though.
Yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen, and I'm
think
just
you'll get
constantly prepared. Get what?
Eventually.
Glinda?
Yeah, for sure.
Let us speak, Lord.
We gotta manifest
Not warmed
it.
up.
I believe.
Yes. I love
Yeah.
manifesting. Yes, I'm all for that.
Yeah, you did. You got a good personality for that role.
Thank you.
Yeah.
She's coming back. She was gone for a bit. She's back now. My students are always like, the Wicked movie came out.
Yeah.
And
I haven't
then
seen it yet.
it's phenomenal. I've seen it too many times. But it came out, and then my students who I don't teach anymore,
Yeah.
who are graduated or whatever, they like DM me. They're like, I just saw the Wicked movie, and you remind me a lot of Glinda. Even my mission companions were like, you are the brunette version of her.
Yeah.
Anyways.
You have a good energy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I try. I really do try to protect my energy and keep it good for. Like that sounds so weird, but
No, have you always? I'm curious about that. Have you always been focused on like emotional energy and like that, or is that something you over time have learned about, or what's?
when I was a little girl, I remember we were like swimming in a pool with my parents. And my mom said, "Emily, you're really emotionally intelligent," and that's always stuck with me. Right, the things that we say to children like kind of define them. So be careful what you say. And ever since then, I've just like, yeah, I am, and I've recognized how good I am with people, and I got my patriarchal blessing, and I was like, okay, this is great. And then understanding how when you take care of yourself, you're better able to take care of other people. So protecting that energy in that space, and the happier I am, and the happier people want to be around me. I want to be the type of person that people want to be around.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Make them feel good about themselves or comfortable.
Yeah. I think that's a good goal,
Yeah.
especially if you're teaching people all day.
Yes.
That always
I
helps.
agree, especially in my classroom, because if they don't feel comfortable, then we can't learn,
Yeah.
progress or convert. What do I think? Conversion is the word I'm thinking of. You know what I mean? Anyways.
Yeah, it's crazy, especially with teachers. I feel like how easy your students or the audience will match your energy if it's off.
Yes, 100%, and you will match their energy if it's off.
Yeah.
And I tried to teach them that when I first meet my students, I teach them about, have you ever been to a basketball game that was just like electric and like so fun and the crowd was amazing, or a concert?
Right.
And it's like, whoa. And how would that concert be different, or that game have played different if the crowd wasn't there?
Right.
And then they're like, oh, wait, it does affect you.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to show up for you. One of my classes this semester, they are the best hype men, and they're really great, and I just love them. So it really does affect.
Yeah, what's that like teaching high schoolers about
It's amazing.
the gospel?
It's literally, I pinch myself every day. What is my life? What is my life to be young, single, teaching the gospel to high schoolers that I'm, closer in age to? It is really cool. And I feel very lucky. It's hard. I think something that people don't, everyone thinks that they can do it. And I'm like, would applaud anyone for trying.
Right.
I think something that people don't take, sorry, I talk fast.
Oh, you're good.
Something that people don't take account for
Yeah.
is how draining it is.
Sure.
It's demanding physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. Spiritual experiences are draining. Like after Joseph saw God the Father and Jesus Christ, he was on his back,
Take
passed
a nap.
out. And
Yeah.
you got to take a nap, and that's how I feel every day. And then on top of that, it's high schoolers. You know what I mean?
Right.
Teenagers.
Yeah.
And so it does a number on my body and my mind. But so I have to put myself first and get to bed and feed myself. And the more I take care of my body and my mind and my spirit, the better I can show up for my students.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting how because there's like obviously somebody in that class that you're feeding them you're giving something to them. So they're obviously in like a good way taking from you.
Yeah.
Because you're giving.
Yeah.
But they also give back,
a good point.
there's some good that you get out of it as well.
I feel like as you increase your audience, your vessel expands, and God, steps in, fulfills your capacity, or enables you. I don't know how to explain that, but
No, I
I
get
have
it.
felt that. I don't know how to explain it, but
Yeah.
grace, I think, is the underlining word. Is
Yeah.
what I'm experiencing.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely like grow into what you're what position you're in. Yeah,
Definitely.
for sure. How did you get? I don't know if the cameras were rolling when we talked about this a little bit earlier, but how did you get into that job as a seminary teacher? Because you're 21, 22, 23.
I know.
Okay.
I look so young.
Yes.
Some kids think I'm 17. They're like, "Are you a student?" I'm like, "Nope, I'm your teacher." No, parents. It's the worst when parents are like, they're like, "All right."
Yeah. Is that pretty normal to be 23 and a seminary teacher?
It's becoming normal.
Okay.
It wasn't. It hasn't been in the past.
Yeah, it was like usually older guys.
It's usually
right?
old married guys, you know,
Yeah.
which I have nothing against that.
No, they were
But
great.
it's exciting what's happening, and we're getting a lot of younger return missionaries who are enthusiastic about the gospel and can connect with the youth. And my dad was an SNI, is an SNI,
Okay.
Seminary Institute, Church Education System, CES.
Sure.
And I grew up my whole life with him as a seminary teacher, like 20 years. He's been doing it for more than 20 years.
Wow.
And for the longest time, I didn't know what he did. Like, I didn't understand I knew he was a teacher.
Yeah.
And I thought he worked at a cemetery. But it was just seminary.
Pretty close.
And it wasn't until I got to high school that I realized, wait, my dad does, when I started taking seminary.
Right.
I was like, wait a second, my dad does this. And I was like, this is so cool. And then I had a great relationship with a couple of my seminary teachers. Like, I would go hiking with their families and babysit their kids. And then I was like, wait a second. My dad has relationships with all these amazing kids, high schoolers. And I know nothing about them. I was like, he has another life, it felt like. But I never once thought I would become a seminary teacher. The thought crossed my mind once. I was going to go to Broadway. Like, that was the plan, to perform and just keep progressing musically and in that arena. And I came home from my mission, and Hallie Glazebrook, actually, can I name drop?
Sure. Yeah.
She's the one, we both know and love her.
Yeah.
She was in the show with us. She texted me. I was home from my mission for about 3 or 4 months, and she said, hey, you should take the How to Teach Seminary Institute class at the Institute. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to be a member of this church for a long time. I don't know about you. But, like, it's probably going to be really important for me to learn how to be a better teacher, because that's something that's very common in our church. And I love about our church is that the congregation teaches and speaks. And so I was like, this is going to be great. I'm going to learn some tools, and I'm going to be a better teacher, and then I'm going to whatever. So I showed up to the class, and I probably shouldn't say this. I wasn't even in the classroom yet, and I don't know if I should say this. Maybe not, I'll tell you, but I just don't want to hurt anyone's feelings.
Sure.
Because I wasn't even in the classroom yet, and the pre-service director was like, oh, you're so-and-so's daughter? Okay, I'll get you in the classroom. And I was like, what? What is that? I don't even want to be a seminary teacher. Like, I'm just doing this to learn some tools. Right? I didn't even know what that meant. Like, I was like, get me in a classroom. I didn't realize that was what they used to hire. Like, this class was what they were looking for hires.
Oh, okay.
I didn't understand that was what I was signing up for.
Sure.
And so the class ended, and he was like, hey, I'm going to put you in the practicum is what they did. And so I went to ALA, and I taught for a week. The Isaiah chapters.
Yeah.
My first time being in a classroom. I was like, are you kidding me?
Isaiah.
And they were like, if you can teach Isaiah, you can teach anything. And it was amazing. It was spectacular. I fell in love with it, and I walked in that room, and I haven't left. And so after that practicum, I moved on to student teaching, and then quickly moved on to being hired full-time.
Dang.
Yeah.
How'd you handle that first time? Like, what made it amazing? Because I think most people would have been pretty, and you probably were a little nervous going in, but
definitely.
What made it amazing? How did you handle teaching Isaiah? Because it's not necessarily an easy section to understand.
So I was lucky enough to have someone like my dad who had been teaching for 20 years.
Sure.
That I was living with at the time, and was just like, hey, how do I lesson prep, and what should I be aware of? And he sat down with me and taught me the basic structure of a lesson. And I was lucky enough to have that resource. Do I utilize him now? I wonder if people think I use it. I don't really. We'll talk about doctrine, but never really like, can you help me lesson prep? I've got it down.
Yeah.
I feel like no. But at that time, the biggest thing when it comes to Isaiah and what I did then, that was like 3 years ago, almost 4. That's so long ago. 2022. Wow. Anyway.
That flies.
Was making it relevant to the kids. And relevancy is the biggest, like, if you feel like your students are apathetic, it's lacking relevancy.
Sure.
And so how do you make Isaiah relevant? The question I said, we would study a principle or a topic, and then I would say, why does this matter to kids in 2025? And then they would answer, and all of a sudden, they were locked in, right? This is how it relates to me. And that's probably what I did.
That's a good point. Yeah, I think a lot of people struggle to like relate gospel topics into their life. Because they hear the stories, but even like Book of Mormon or the stories of Christ, you just feel like they're so long ago until you really put yourself in their shoes.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing too. I'm curious. A lot of, I don't know. It seems like 10, 15 years ago, Christ and Christianity and church and religion was just not like a very popular thing. But it seems like there's an uptick in that. Do you notice that with
Yes.
these younger generation people coming up?
Yeah, so the statistics, the world will tell you that the youth and people are falling away from Christianity and walking away from God, but the church just recently the studies are saying otherwise. Like,
Really?
the young adults are flocking to the church. And the number one statistic for baptizing, like if the missionaries wanted to focus in one area where they would get the most baptisms, it was part member families back in the day, and now it's seminary institute. So we're seeing an influx in baptisms through S&I, which is so exciting. And when people ask me, like, what is one thing you'd want to know about the youth or we should know? And I think people would be shocked at how hungry these kids are to have spiritual experiences and to talk about Jesus and to have spiritual conversations. They are so hungry and for it, and they're really good at it too.
Yeah.
And I'm just so grateful to be able to witness it and be a part of it.
Why? Like, why? Why are they so hungry for? What are you noticing?
This generation's special, and President Nelson has prophesied about that being. We're one of the greatest generations, right?
Yeah.
Being that, I think that's a great question. Why? I think because we've seen an influx in depression and anxiety,
Okay.
and maybe
yeah.
that, and so like the tilt of the scale, people are turning to God. Maybe that's the answer. I wouldn't know specifically why it's, or honestly, the truth is because God is incredible and His work moves forward.
Sure.
And He prophesied that, and then like this would happen. So
True.
blame it on Him. I love blaming things on Him. All the good stuff.
Yeah, he's a good scapegoat.
Yeah.
He'll
Yeah.
take it.
For all the good stuff.
Yeah. I always wonder too, like, because there was, especially with social media and like all the information we have access to now, there's a lot of good things we know.
Yes.
But there's also a lot of fake stuff out there.
It's terrifying.
And I wonder if, like my parents and the generation after that, I think they kind of got a mix of it. They were older when
Yeah.
that came out and they got
Yeah.
all this information. So they kind of had some foundation. But I wonder if generations now where that's like kind of their life, if they're like flocking to something that's real, something that feels really,
Sense it.
yeah, like something that feels wholesome and real and tangible because, the world can only provide so much.
Yeah, I
Or it
agree.
just feels like,
Yeah. And, President Nelson prophesied that in the coming days, this quote, you will not be able to survive spiritually
yeah,
without the comforting, guiding influence of the Holy Ghost. And I think we're living in that day with AI and as it's progressing. And so it's been, and the kids are scared. Not scared, but they're aware, and they're like, what do we do? And
right.
teaching them the role of the Holy Ghost, and they're anxious to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you seen, like, what's been maybe one of the biggest takeaways or biggest, like a cool experience you've seen in the classroom? And maybe that's a hard question. I mean, every day
there's
is
so
kind
many.
of amazing. So.
Yeah, they really are. Like, not every classroom. Just
Yeah.
kidding. Just kidding. I like to, believe that they're all amazing, whether I recognize it or not. I don't know. Sometimes these kids will just say things, and I'm like, who are you? Where did you come from? Who were you before you came to this earth? And who are you going to become?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I know people who are older than me who have no idea what you just said and, don't believe it, don't understand that concept.
Right.
And they're just their capacity to comprehend and articulate and the belief that they have. I can't think of any specific experience right now, but if I think of one, I'll let you know.
Okay. Yeah, I do you feel like being younger is definitely aids in this
There's
teaching process?
Pros and cons for sure.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Because I'm younger, they think that I'm cool and I'm fun. And I am. I can be if you're
Yeah.
cool, if you follow the rules. I'm actually, I think, one of the most strict teachers because I have high expectations for them, and cleanliness is close to godliness, and we have to have order, and maybe it's my OCD talking, but what was your original question? Being younger, but it does benefit because I understand the phone addiction.
Right.
I understand TikTok. I understand the reels. I get the memes. I get the trends, and I get the lingo. You know, and so they do feel like maybe she understands us, whereas the older men maybe have a harder time. But they're actually pretty. My coworkers are pretty like on it and up to date. Like sometimes they say things, and I'm like, who taught you that word?
Yeah. I think they're trying.
Yes, they
There's
are.
been a lot of effort put into that.
I agree.
Connecting, which I mean, both is good because I've had some older teachers where, you know, I think it's all about being able to relate and like even if you don't necessarily connect on some things with the younger generation, if you have a lot of wisdom and you can share and like you said resonate with them, then I've had a bunch of really older teachers where you're like, wow, that was so insightful. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
But then there is something to be said about someone who's a little more in that age group and in touch and can relate on just a different level.
I agree.
Walk us through, you were telling us like a little bit about your day, like what you do to.
Yes.
Yeah. How do you do that? Because I think a lot of people wonder what it takes to be a teacher in general.
I think, well, I've been meaning to like record a like get ready with me. I'm not an influencer or anything, but I think people are fascinated with the idea of my job and what I do and how wonderful it is. But yeah, so I will say first of all, my routine does not look exactly the same every day because I'm a woman and our hormonal cycles are different, and I can talk about that later.
Sure.
But on a good day, on a perfect day, right, I got my full 7 to 9 hours of sleep, and I wake up around 4:15.
Okay.
I wake up, spend some time. This is going to sound crazy, but the first 30 minutes and the last 3 minutes of our days are when our subconscious is the most susceptible, and we can reprogram our brain or do whatever it is, habits, develop new things. And so we're in a state of hypnosis the first 30 minutes and the last 30 minutes of the day. And so I'm very intentional, very careful about what I'm looking at, what I'm consuming, what I'm saying to myself in the first 30 minutes of my day. And so I wake up and I try to just like really, today's going to be a great day. I'm full of energy out loud, and like, and I'm so excited to see my students. I love my job and I'm very vocal about it, or I'll be writing it down. Like that's kind of the first thing I do. And then I wake up, wash my face, get ready, and go make some food, and then I try to be in the office. I've learned, last semester I was in the office before 7, but I've just learned that my brain works so much better in the morning. And so this semester we're like 3 weeks in the semester, so who knows how long I'll be able to keep this up. But that's the goal. Be in the office before 6 a.m. And then lesson prep for as long as I study my script. I walk in, unlock the doors, I'm the first one in the building, and I'll get down and say a prayer in my office and just talk to God, ask him what he wants me to teach that day, and get the spirit involved in my lesson prep, pray for the desire to study, pray for the desire to lesson prep, because sometimes I don't feel that. I also skip my car drive. I'm definitely jamming out to music and having the time of my life in the car. Like 5 a.m., like blasting music, because I got to hype myself up. Like,
yeah, what's on this hype playlist? Not to deviate,
like, what's on it? I got to think. I can't think of anything. My mind just went blank. I'll post a link. It's my Snoop Dogg glittered. It's his face is on it. That's all. There's no Snoop Dogg on it. And then I get in my office, I say my prayer, and then I open up the scriptures and I say, what am I teaching today? And I'll read those verses by myself, and then I'll go to the manual and lesson prep. And then at 7:10 every morning, our faculty gets together and we pray for the students, and we just kind of connect about what's going on today, any announcements, any weird things with the schedule, any students we need to be concerned about, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And we pray. And then I go back into my office and I have about 20 to 30 more minutes to prep, and I'll solidify, go set up my classroom, and the kids walk in. And I'm so excited and prepared to see them. So I prepared the day of.
Yeah. Well, there's something to be said about having it fresh on your mind, right?
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. And I guess I feel like only if you do something that requires presenting, because I do, like this show, like I like to be in the space, like usually an hour and a half before, just, whether it's prepping the equipment or whatever. So there's something to be said about like being in the space and where you're at and just having time to really absorb what you're doing. Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
So tell me a little bit more about this kind of like almost, I guess it's behavioral science a little bit, or like, mindset setting.
Okay, wait. Do you, because there's tell me more what you want me to talk about, because I could go off on anything.
Matt, her camera turned off.
Okay.
Oh, no.
Is it back on? Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's a good question. What would be a good way to how did you get into it? I guess it would be a good starting
And
point.
what is it that you're talking about?
Like kind of like you're talking about, this early part of the morning, setting your mindset up,
okay.
all that. Yeah.
So, lots of stuff. I'm really into neuroscience and the brain, and then I'm also stumbled upon feminine and masculine energy. And this has been within the last year.
Okay.
Like literally, I'm coming up on a year since I discovered these things, and it's changed my life.
Can I ask what led to you discovering that? Because usually, like, there's, like something spurs the interest in it.
I'm so glad you asked that, because I was going to say it, but then I was like, no one cares. No, literally, okay, so prayer is I love teaching about prayer. I love talking about prayer, and it was prayer. And I'll tell you what happened. So I don't always know what to pray for, and I will always ask, like, what is it that I need to pray for? And the specific time last year, I remember praying this specific prayer, and I'm so grateful I prayed it, because it's what sparked this inspiration, this knowledge.
Yeah.
And the prayer was, Heavenly Father, I just had this realization. I've met people who are like, oh, I wish I would have learned that before I got married.
Yeah.
Or before I had kids.
Yeah.
Or before I became a seminary teacher, or whatever. Man, if I had only learned that sooner. I hear that from people.
Yeah.
And I was just like, Heavenly Father, what is something I can learn now that is going to bless me as a mother, as a wife, as a teacher, like something that I can learn now that I would be saying, oh, I wish I would have learned that sooner.
Right.
And that's kind of, and then I stumbled upon all these things that just, the Lord enlightened my mind and sent me the help that I needed that year. And there was 3 huge things that I learned last year that have just completely shifted my life in perspective and helped elevate my life. And so one of them was learning about grounding and earthing, and the power that the earth has on our energy and our bodies.
Yeah. With
inflammation and our blood and healing. And if you want to go watch the grounding documentary, that's what I watched, and it was amazing.
Who's that by?
I don't know. A couple did some research on it.
Kel, can you look that up just so we can...
It's fascinating, Links.
Yeah, you can pull it up on the...
Yeah.
And then we'll see if that's the right one.
The grounding documentary, it's phenomenal. I love that. That changed my life and helped me prioritize my body and my health.
Yeah. And
feel like I had a resource to... People think it's like very woo-woo.
Sure.
But the more I looked into it, I'm like, there's no harm in believing this, or it's not doing anything. It makes sense. Like, go touch some grass.
Explain grounding a little bit to those who aren't
so,
really familiar.
The earth has a frequency and it is a magnet, Yes, here it is.
The earthing movie.
Yeah.
Oh.
And actually, can I just, like, read you the definition?
Yeah,
It'll be better than me just trying to, like, go crazy at it.
I'm going to drink some of this wall.
Go for it.
If you want some, you're more than welcome.
Oh, you're fine. I have some protein. Oh,
Okay.
cute.
Yeah.
All set up. How would you explain?
For me, because I watch a fair amount of podcasts, I don't mind when there's stuff that's not, like, it doesn't, I like when it just feels like a raw conversation. So if there's a technical issue, like a pause, and nothing's going on, I'll stop it, because that's annoying as a listener just to hear nothing for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But if there's something going on, I think people like being a fly on the wall.
They like the authenticity.
Yeah, they like feeling like they were there, but they weren't really.
Yeah,
it's
scary to be vulnerable like that, for on my end, but I understand the need of it. Anyways, so when it comes to grounding, I don't want to spend too much time on this because there's so many other things that I feel like, but I'll just teach you the basics. The idea is that, I'll just read this. The idea is that the earth has a natural electric charge.
Yeah.
And when we connect to it, it helps neutralize excess positive charge in our bodies caused by exposure to things like electronics, pollutions, and stress. And some proponents believe earthing can improve health by reducing inflammation, enhancing sleep, reducing sleep, and boosting overall well-being. So basically, the earth is healing.
Right.
And when I touch it, you feel it. Go to some green grass, take your shoe off, and then you immediately will notice the difference. And so I sleep on a earthing pad. Like, you can connect it to the earth, and I sleep great. Anyways.
Where'd you get that? Just off Amazon? Or
They have a whole earthing.
Okay.
Like, the guy who discovered it. Well, I'll share the story to help kind of give comparison. So he was doing telephones, like, back in the day, like, he would putting up wires.
Sure.
And you have to, like, ground the wires so that they don't catch on fire.
Right.
Right? And so he had this idea. He was like, oh, what if humans need to be grounded? And lo and behold, yes, like he did the research and he like tested the body, and if we don't ground ourselves, then we get inflamed, you
Sure.
know? And the invention of the rubber shoe really, back in the 70s, really disconnected us from the earth. And
Right.
so it's this movement. You were seeing an increase in cancer and inflammation, all these diseases that are caused by the root of it is inflammation. According to this research, this is just what I've studied.
Right.
And so, yeah.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, it's very healing.
What's
So
the
I love
harm
that.
too? It's like, might as well, right?
What's the harm? Yeah, that's what my dad was like. He's usually pretty skeptical, but
Sure.
he's like, I don't see any harm. It's like, why not? So,
Right.
yeah, it's something. Whenever I'm feeling stressed, like yesterday, I was leaving work and I was like, I feel dead. Like I need to go touch some grass, and I went, sat for 2 to 5 minutes in some grass that I found. Immediately rejuvenated. Like, okay, I can go now.
Well, it is interesting. I mean, even if you don't, take your shoes off and ground, just like going out in nature and being
Touch
out.
a tree.
Yeah, I mean, just being outside and going and seeing how beautiful the world is,
Yeah.
that just alone can completely change your mood.
I agree.
So, I mean,
So-
it's, if nothing else, it's a good thing,
Yes.
right?
There's
I've
no
actually
harm.
heard about grounding through TikTok,
Yes.
and I actually was like, "Loki, I'm gonna try it," and then like I would go outside and touch grass,
Yeah.
and then I was like, "Wait, why am I low key happier now?"
Why is
though?"
this so good?
Yeah.
Right?
It actually does work pretty good though.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's almost like God knew that.
Yeah,
Sorry.
you just kind of like breathe
Maybe I
like
should start
fresh
touching
air,
grass.
and then like you're just
Yeah.
like kind of connecting. You're like, oh, like life's okay.
Yeah.
You're not like caught up in everything in like your phone and
It
everything.
regulates things. It's like genuinely they're scientific. Like your body's shifting. Your cells are moving quickly. Like you're moving. Anyways, and if like whenever I'm in big cities
Yeah.
and I'm like, where's the grass? It's like a concrete jungle. I'll just go find a tree and touch it, and it's the same effect.
Wow.
Anyways. So that was one thing
One of them. Okay.
from last year that I feel like God put in my mind that really just like helped me. I don't know why. The second thing that I learned was neuroscience, and specifically, I love the work. Everything I've learned is from Dr. Daniel Amen, who's an amazing researcher. And I first heard him on a podcast and was just fascinated with his studies on the brain. And I can kind of tell you his research. In case you can't tell, I love teaching.
Is he an older guy?
Yes.
Okay.
Bald, very charismatic.
Look him up because I think I know who you're talking
He's on
about.
TikTok.
Yeah.
He's on Instagram. He's done Justin Bieber, Miley Cyrus, the Kardashians. Like he's worked with a lot of amazing people, and his work is profound. Dr. Daniel Amen. She's got it. And so one thing with Dr. Amen, and so his story basically, he was in the army. He didn't like being shot at, so he looked at the medical thing, and he became a medical guy. Let's see this picture. I love this man.
Okay.
Oh,
Yes. Yeah. I've seen him for sure.
yeah, he's amazing. Go watch anything he has recorded. Anyway, so and you'll hear his story again, but he didn't like being shot at, so he went to the medical field and was really fascinated with psychology, I think. And then he got married, and then his wife tried to kill herself, and
wow.
he was like, well, let's take you to a psychiatrist. Went in and realized, he was like, wait a second, how come every other doctor, when you show up and you're like, hey doc, I got chest pain, they're like, no doctor goes, okay, here's some pills. They
Right.
say, let's take a look at your heart, let's scan it. He's like, how come psychiatrists are the only doctors or profession that don't look at the organ that they're treating? And so he was like, why don't we scan the brain? And so he started scanning brains and then treating people. So people come in and say, I'm depressed and anxious, and then people throw medicine at them.
Right. Right.
And never once looking at the organ, the brain. And so, anyway, so his theory is mental health isn't really real. Brain health is what we need. If you have a great brain, you can change your life because your brain controls everything.
Interesting.
And so if you get your brain, and I'm actually saving up my money because I want nothing more than to get my
Brain scan.
People are always like, you have ADHD. And I was like, I probably do. Or I don't know. And I just would love to have a straight answer because there's different types of ADHD and different
Right.
medication. I would love to get help, like improve my life. People with ADHD. Oh, well, here's a quote from him that he says, are people with glasses stupid?
I hope not.
No.
No.
They just have eyes and they need glasses to help them. Same
Right.
with ADHD or people who have ADHD. No, they just need medication or something. They're like glasses.
Yeah.
For help. So like, let's get rid of the stigmatism. Is that the word?
Yeah. Stigmatism.
Whatever.
Yeah. Something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just public school.
There's a stigma.
Stigma. Maybe
there's
that's
a
the word.
stigma
Like
to it. Yeah,
there's
for
a
sure.
thing around it. Whatever.
Yeah.
Stigmatism
So-
is your eye.
Oh yeah.
I would know because I have one.
Shit, that's so funny.
But I
She's
think
like,
there's stigmatism, and then there's also like you can have a stigma. No, I think there's I think stigmatism is also
Sigma.
a term.
I don't know.
Sigma?
Sigma.
My students always. I went to public school. That's just what I blame it on. Every time I say something stupid, she's looking it up.
I've heard that term though. I feel like that's a common
Everyone's
term.
like, she's an idiot. She's teaching our children. I was like, I'm teaching about Jesus.
teach them how to
So
pray.
yeah, I
How to
teach you how to pray.
We don't use that term a lot in prayer.
Yeah.
Astigmatism is an eye condition that causes blurred or distorted vision, which is true because I experienced that.
Is it also a term?
Hold on.
Okay.
I'm dying because like I'm so embarrassed because I say things wrong. I'm like Glinda. Like when she was like, "Oh, scandalocious." Oh, you haven't even seen it.
Yeah, I haven't. I
That's
need to.
my
I need
favorite.
to.
We're talking about stigma, where it's
Stigma.
a mark of
Yes.
disgrace associated with
All-
a particular circumstance, quality, or person.
All my friends are just shaking their head right now.
It's okay.
and laughing.
I believed what you
They're
said.
like, Emily.
Well, you're not very good with words.
She called you out.
Matt asked me one time how to spell oops.
What?
How do you spell it? Just kidding.
OOPS.
Okay, he got it.
Yeah. And then I think
EW.
I did spell it
No, I'm
wrong,
just kidding.
though. I think I spelled ops.
Oops. Oh, that's funny.
Hey, gotta make sure
You knew what I meant. That's what matters.
I'm dying. So yeah, he kind of like took away that. Basically, it's not about your brain. We hear mental health all the time,
Yeah.
but it's really your brain.
Mm-hmm.
And so that has just changed. And the cool thing is about all of this is you're not stuck with the brain that you have, and you can change your brain.
Right.
If you can change your brain, you can change your life.
Mm.
And he'll share a story between two people. So I bought his book. That has changed my life in my classroom. It's How to Raise Mentally Strong Kids. And I'm not a mother, but I want to be, and I do work with children, and I was a child, so I qualify. Just kidding. And his book has really helped me understand my brain, the brains of my students, and how to talk to them, how to treat them, how to handle them, how to utilize, like, I don't know. It's changed my life, and I'm so grateful for that knowledge. So that was the second thing. Do you have any other questions about that?
I mean, not off the top of my head, but it is fascinating. I mean, I'm curious what exactly. Maybe I got to read the book, but what exactly are you doing differently in the classroom based off the book?
Oh, okay. So there's so many things.
Yeah.
One example for something that I changed this semester that with the brain, what I've learned. So the story goes that a kid was terrified one night because he thought there was monsters under his bed. Sure. Okay, so he's like, Mom, there's monsters. So he'd come in bugging his parents. Mom, I have monsters under the bed. And the parents, lovingly, would go in and check the room, look under the bed, the closet, move the things, and show the kid that there was no monsters, right? But it kept happening. And they unknowingly while looking for the monster, we're unknowingly reinforcing his fear of like, there's a monster in here and we're trying to find it and it's not in here, right? And so that wasn't working. So when the mom went to Dr. Daniel Amen, the research shown, what they ended up doing, I'll tell you what they did and how that affects the brain in children, is they ended up writing a sign, a poster that said, no monsters allowed. And the kid drew a monster and they crossed it out, put it on the door. And the kid had no more problems because there was no monsters allowed in my room.
Interesting.
And so children respond very, very well to signs, seeing the rules, seeing things.
Right.
And so in my classroom, if my students see this video, they're going to be like, you're using this. In my classroom, I put my expectations and my rules on the whiteboards, and I'm going to have them up there for as long as possible and reinforce that understanding that these are the policies, these are the rules in my classroom. So we have that. So that's one thing.
Yeah.
Another thing that I love is kids hate it when you tell them to be home at 10:30, right?
Yeah.
Curfew. But they would hate it a lot more if you didn't.
Really? Explain that. Break that down.
Because that means you don't care.
Hmm.
That means you don't, right? When a baby is a baby, when it's newborn, all it has are wants, needs. It has needs.
Sure.
Excuse me. Needs. It needs to be fed. It needs to be changed. It needs this, and it will do that by crying. It will do it by, cooing, whatever, to get that attention and satisfy that need, and we keep it alive. And then when it gets to the age of 2, they start to have wants. They want the bottle. They want the blanket. And their wants are usually dangerous, right? Sure. Like, I want to get in the street and run in the road, or get on time, climb on top of the counters. And at age 2, when the wants, what they're doing is they're testing your limits, and when you say, get down from the table, like you're crawling up on the counter or the couch, you're going to fall and hurt yourself. yes, it's going to cause a temporary tantrum and make the baby cry. But what they're doing is they're testing. But they know that they love me, they protect me, right? Whether they recognize it or not, it's their subconscious is like, oh, mom and dad make rules for me, they love me.
They're learning.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the more that I'm studying this, the more I'm seeing Heavenly Father and how He takes care of us and
Puts
loves
limits
us.
and-
Yes.
yeah.
And so when I walk in my classroom and I say, hey, everyone, like our seminary is very chill. If you've ever been to seminary, like there's not a lot of, there's rules, but there's not like, there's no assignments, there's no grades, there's no worksheets usually.
Sure.
And so there's not a lot of weight to when I try to discipline or whatever. Not that I'm disciplining, but like set expectations.
Right.
And so when I walk into a classroom, like a lot of kids are used to just getting up and walking out of the classroom when they want to, whenever, you know. But kids hate it when you tell them to be home at 10:30, but they hate it a lot more when you don't.
Right.
So when I say, you're not allowed to get out of my, I tell them, this is how I say it. I say, you are not allowed to get up and walk out of my classroom. And everyone's like, I'm like, but you are more than welcome to get up and walk out of my classroom if you make eye contact with me and point at the door. So I know where you are, and there's only one person at a time. And then we talk about that, right? So kids, whether they might hate it, they're like, oh, she's mean.
Right.
But it's because I love you and I want you to learn and I want you to be here. And the subconscious know. Anyway, so it's like this. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Is that
Well,
crazy?
and I think you make a good point, like saying the standard early.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Right? Because if you let, I'm assuming you've probably seen this, if you let a week go or 2 weeks and you just let them test the limits and then try to implement something,
Never.
doesn't work.
Doesn't work. The first week of school, when I get a new batch of students, is the most important week of my entire life, the entire semester, I think, because that's where you set expectations, that's where you set the standards, and I have seen too many other teachers suffer the rest of the semester. It's hard. It's exhausting. I was up at 4, I was in the office way earlier and way later, and I got so sick afterwards. This was literally like 2 weeks ago.
Right.
Because I was so on it.
Yeah.
And they needed to know these are the expectations, these are the rules. But it's maybe I don't know. It's too important for me to, and I just got to set the standards and expectations, and then I don't have to worry about it. So God does the same thing, right? There's justice and then there's mercy. It's so much easier to set really hard rules and then lax up later on in the semester.
Sure.
But it's nearly impossible to be super lax the first few days or weeks and then try to put rules in. They're like, you didn't have a seating chart last week.
Right.
Why would we sit in chart? You know, and it's like, oh gosh, I'm in trouble.
Right.
You know. So but I had to learn that.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and I think if you have a standard, right, then you have something that they can then build trust with you on. Mm-hmm. Because if there's no standard, like, what are they going to build trust on?
And kids love structure, whether they resist it, like they think
Right.
they do, but they love order. They love who's my teacher, where do I sit, and what do I need to do to be on your good side, or what do I need to do to have the best experience in here, you know?
Right.
So.
Yeah. I mean, what's that phrase talking about, like, you know, sometimes we hate the rules of the game, but if there were no rules, then you're not really playing a game.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, something like that.
I like that. I've never heard that.
Yeah, I think it was like a chess reference. I don't know. Anyways, okay. So what was the third thing?
Okay, so the first one was grounding, earthing.
Grounding,
Second
earthing.
one was neuroscience, and it's helped me and my students and my future children and my future relationships. The last one was feminine, masculine energy.
Yeah.
And this changed my life. I learned about it probably last April, I think. And basically, I have notes on my phone, like with bullet points, just because there's so much to cover. And like, basically, they are the perfect opposites, perfect complementary opposites. And it doesn't have to do with your gender. It doesn't matter. Gender, everyone has feminine and masculine energy in them.
Sure.
Generally speaking, women tend to be more feminine, and generally speaking, men tend to be more masculine.
For sure.
And I'll just kind of break it down. Masculine energy exists on more of a physical plane, while feminine energy exists on a more energy plane. Masculine is the doing energy, while feminine is the being energy.
Interesting.
Okay, so masculine energy is very outward, and it's very physical. It's the doing, it's the leading, it's the accomplishing, while feminine is the internal, creative, nurturing, right?
Right.
Those
right.
kind of stuff. Masculine energy is more of the logical thinking side, you know, your head more so, numbers, while feminine is more of the feeling, emotional kind of thing. Outward energy versus inward energy. So there's toxic masculinity is way more easy to identify because it is so physical. So we see like wars, fights.
Right.
That's very toxic masculinity.
So outward.
Yes,
Yeah,
outward.
okay,
Where
yeah.
feminine is toxic femininity would be inward, like gossiping, codependency, insecurity, right? Like
Sure.
those kind of stuff, which is harder to see, you know. But
Right.
we don't need less masculinity. We need less toxic. We need more healthy masculine energy
Right.
in our world. And the more I'm learning about feminine energy, the more I'm able to bring that out of the men around me. But I didn't know about this like a year ago. Like, I wish someone would have taught me this sooner. And the more I've learned about it, like, this is not everyone's cup of tea either. And I told it to a girl once. She was like, I hate that, right? And she grew up in a she didn't grow up with a dad, so she didn't know, you know, like, what that was like. And I told someone else, and they're like, what does that have to do with gender? Like, they're
Why'd she hate that? Like, explain.
with the first girl.
Yeah, why'd she?
I think just growing up without a dad, not knowing, only experiencing toxic masculinity and not understanding, never experiencing or understanding or seeing the beauty of it.
Oh, so she didn't like the idea of masculine
Yeah.
being good.
Yeah.
Okay,
Or
I
like,
see.
well, and I'll explain further maybe why. But the more I've learned, what was I going to say? There's a difference between gender roles and feminine and masculine energy. Okay, people need to understand that there's a difference between those two. Gender roles are like, you mow the lawn, I do the dishes. I take care of the kids, you bring home the money, right? Like
Right. Yeah,
blue, pink jobs.
Yeah.
You know?
for sure.
But you can still be a stay-at-home dad and be the masculine energy, and I can still be the breadwinner and still be my feminine energy.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
So that's something I think people confuse when I've gotten in conversations where people are like, wait, how do I, what? Anyways, so that's
I
something.
think more people get offended by gender roles.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Because they don't want to be locked down one or the
and
other.
I agree. Like, I mean, genuinely, but I love my pink jobs.
Yeah,
Like, some people
yeah.
prefer, but I also am very good. And I will say, we have both feminine and masculine energy within all of us. And you
Right.
should be in your, so for me, I should be in my feminine energy 80% of the time and my masculine 20% of the time. And vice versa for you. So I'm definitely in my masculine at school.
Okay.
Like, when I'm teaching, I'm leading, I'm instructing, I'm building a structure for us to go, right?
Yeah.
And honestly, it's exhausting. That's a great one. When you're in your wrong energy, I was in my wrong energy for too long of a period of time. And it's exhausting and it's draining and it's not fun. And the more that I've learned about my feminine energy, it has brought a weight off my shoulders. It has given me purpose and like understanding in relationships and even in my dynamic in my relationship with my Heavenly Father and with other women.
Yeah.
It has enhanced my life so quickly. And there's more. I could tell you more stuff
Yeah.
about it.
How
If you have more questions for me.
Yeah, how are you out of your feminine energy for so long? Because I think people listening might
Yeah.
wonder to themselves, like, am I not? Like,
Yeah.
how were you out of your feminine energy?
I wasn't trusting the people around me. I wasn't. I didn't know what feminine energy was. I wasn't receiving. I wasn't trusting. I was doing all the masculine roles.
I see.
I was doing so like basically, for the longest time, like in high school, past high school, my mission, after my mission, I was doing all the masculine roles. Like when I learned about it, I was like, oh, I've been doing all the masculine parts. And
Yeah.
as a single girl, like I'm providing for myself. I am protecting myself. Like it's exhausting. I don't really get to be feminine, and I never will be entirely feminine until I do meet a man who's in his masculine. Does that make
Right.
sense? And
Yeah.
he will never be fully masculine until he,
Interesting.
yeah.
Yeah.
And because it's the yin and the yang,
Right.
right? And a
Right.
good way to think about it is like, can you tell how passionate I am about this? A good thing to think about it is like a reservoir of water or like a pond or something.
Sure.
So masculine energy would be the banks of a river,
Okay.
okay, the outskirts,
Yeah.
while the feminine would be the water inside.
Mm.
So without the water, the banks feel purposeless.
Interesting.
Okay?
Yeah.
Like, what am I doing here? What's the point?
Sure.
And then without the banks, the water's all over the place. You know?
Yeah.
And that is a beautiful way to describe men and women when they don't have the energy to counterpart it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Any other questions?
No, that was a great
I have
explanation.
more. I have
yeah,
more.
please, just
Okay.
I'm very fascinated.
Yeah, I know, right? Like when I tell people about that, I eat it up. I
Yeah.
love it, and the more I learn about it, I love teaching people about it because it has changed. I want to teach a class on it in a few months.
Sure.
Anyways,
Like in your institute class or just in
no,
general?
like I think
YouTube channel.
I was like, oh no, I mean I could start a YouTube channel, but I feel like there's so many other girls. I don't know. I was thinking, I'm just genuinely.
You articulate it well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I have my notes in front of me, so. And I teach for a living. But I want to. I've been studying more about the female cycle too, which I'll dive into in a second.
Yeah.
And I'm like, men need to know about this. I didn't even know about it till like 2 years ago. Like I was home from my mission and I was like, wait, we have a cycle, 4 phases? Like I have no idea. This would have been nice to know when I was a emotional girl in high school and on my mission. Anyways, and so I was like, men need to know this. And so I've been studying it quietly when I have extra time and preparing a presentation to be able to teach a bunch of men like your age and the cycle and also feminine masculine energy. So, but I got to feel you don't actually know it until you're able to teach it.
Right.
And so this is really good practice for me.
Yeah.
And
well, let me know when you have the class because
Yes.
I'll show up. I'll
Yes.
text some friends.
Yeah,
Tell them
I
to
think
come.
people would love it. So I'll keep going though with some other things.
Please.
I'll just dump it all here because
Yeah. People, I
someone
think
else
people
will
love it.
Yeah, eat it up. So what do? I told about feeling versus intuition. Like women are more internal and
And the
men are
banks and
external. Yes.
yeah.
Okay, so I'll talk about our cycle. So men are masculine energy and men are linear. Their cycle is linear, while women's are cyclical. So what does that mean?
I don't know.
So linear is
Yeah.
this and secular, so
Okay. Yeah.
public school. So men operate on a 24-hour cycle. You are the sun. Your hormonal cycle is 24 hours like the sun. I am like the moon. I operate in a 28. Women are like a 20. Their hormone cycle lasts 28 days.
Wow.
Okay. So cyclical. So how do I articulate this? Men are focused on consistency, results. They have the same routine every single day because their hormones are the same at the exact same time every single day. Very predictable. So you can get up at 4 a.m. every day and do have the same food, have the same workout, and be fine.
Right.
Women can't do that. We are on a 28-day cycle and we ebb and flow. There's 4 phases. And so you have, this is a fact that I learned that blew my freaking mind. You have testosterone pulsing through you every 15 minutes. I only have it 5 days of the month.
Testosterone.
Testosterone pumping through me. I think that's the right hormone. That's why I'm like, I'm not ready to teach this because it's not inside me yet, and I got to make sure I get my facts right. Like I don't have this written down. Maybe I do, but like that's a huge difference.
For sure.
And that's something as a married man you need to know about your wife. That only 5 days she's, anyways. Sorry.
Those are the ones.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what you need to know. And also, so I like to think of it, the 4 phases, the seasons. I don't know if you heard the seasons comparison.
I know what the seasons are, but I haven't heard this comparison.
Okay, so women go through the 4 seasons every month.
Okay.
They go through an inner winter, is the first day of menstruation when they bleed, the first day. And that I don't know the numbers. I'm not going to tell you. Like, it's like for some girls, it's 5 to 7 days. And then they go through, what comes after winter?
Spring.
He's
Spring.
like, full. Spring. Then
Yeah.
they go into their spring where they've got renewed energy, excitement, right? And then they go through summer where they're like
Let's
a
party.
little bit spicy, ready to party, and it's like physically they look different. They're like my friend the other day, they're married. He was like, "You look so pretty," and she was like, "Thanks, I'm ovulating." Like, like your body just
So is that summer?
better.
Ovulating in summer?
yeah.
Okay.
And then the last cycle is luteal, which is fall, where your body starts to retreat and like kind of prepare to have a baby.
Matt, her camera.
I got you.
Prepare to have a baby, basically, what her body's doing. And so if you knew that as a man, and so there's a thing called cycle syncing that women don't know about, and they don't even know that they have 4 phases. I didn't know.
Yeah.
The more I cycle sync, the better and happier I am. So if I know I'm going to be in my luteal phase, the last phase, fall,
Yeah.
not last phase, I don't know, I get confused. But I have to be eating different foods to prepare for fall, wear different clothes, like socks on your feet before keeping warm for preparing for winter,
Right.
right? Anyways, like there's certain foods, there's certain workouts There's certain manifesting. If you're into manifestation, best time to do it when you're ovulating. People think that menstruation, girls are super emotional and like, but it's actually a superpower when you're menstruating, because things that you usually brush under the rug, like I cry a lot when I'm menstruating. Not a lot anymore, but I did.
Sure.
Because I learned how to manage it and what was going on with my body.
Right.
But we tend to like, oh, that doesn't really bug me. In my classroom, it's bad. Like if a kid does something out of line, that's not really, I'll be like, whatever, it's not a big deal. But when I'm menstruating, it's bubbling up to the surface and I can't ignore the things that are bugging me.
Right.
And so it's like, sit down, don't do that. Or like if I'm in a relationship, it's like, I can't stand it anymore. I have to say this.
That's the time it comes out.
Yeah, that's the time. It comes to the surface. And it's kind of a superpower. Like, sure. I think so for so long, women don't like it. I know you're probably like, oh, we're talking about periods. But as a male who, you want to get married, right?
Sure hope so.
Okay. Just making sure. You should know and study and understand this.
Sure.
Because then you can support her.
Right.
And that leads to, so that's a whole, I'm not qualified to talk about the female cycle and our hormones yet. But the main thing that you should know is, you are the sun and I'm the moon. And this is a man's world. And so it's hard for me to be working a 9 to 5 and produce the same results every single day when my body is not showing up the same day every day. I'm only one version of myself one time a month, 12 times a year.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy. And so men are like, she's crazy. She's got 4 different personalities. Because, yeah, she does. She's got 4 different seasons and 4 different hormone cycles. And so it's like, this is just... It was such a weight off my shoulders understanding myself, and I'm so mad that no one ever taught me. And the world that we live in, okay, I'm not a feminist, but learning this, I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, this is a man's world. Like, we're expected to produce the same results every day, and all the medication, because we're so unpredictable on our hormones, medicine has been tested on men because you're so consistent. They're like, well, we can test this, and like, what level of Tylenol do people need? Or same with sleep. Like, they studied all the sleep patterns with you, and women need way more sleep than men. Anyways, this is all just rambling. I can talk more about feminine and masculine energy. That will lead more into it. But
what you're saying totally is making sense.
It does.
I hope you know it does not sound.
Good. I'm excited to listen back to this and be
yeah.
like, oh, I'm so annoying, or that didn't make sense. Okay, good.
I know you're probably like, I don't know if anything
all
I'm saying is clicking, but I'm like understanding what you're saying.
Or do you feel like you're like, oh my gosh?
No, it's insightful because I think.
I would love to hear your thoughts.
Too often, because guys, you're always going to take things from your perspective, right? Like, I'm a guy, I'm going to think in like a guy's type way.
Yep.
But I think that's one reason I love doing the podcast, because it's so helpful to sit back and just understand something from, like, take myself out of something and go, okay, let me understand you without like putting myself in it.
Yeah.
And so hearing about the cycles and the seasons, I think even you mentioning the fall or winter cycle, when the emotions are bubbling up, you start to in your head go, okay, so if I really want to have, like, if she's upset about something, just take that in. Like, just listen to that. Like, don't try to solve it.
Yeah.
Just like let it bubble, let it come out.
Let her talk about it.
And then, like, be supportive, do all those things. And then maybe in the summer or in the spring, let's talk about.
Actually, the best time to talk to a woman about a problem is there's an exact number, because I'm not going to give you the number, but it's like day something is the best time to talk about problem solving with each other.
Is that the spring, summer?
I think it's the fall.
The fall,
I think it's the fall cycle, the luteal phase. I think.
I guess that makes sense.
I can go look at it and find, or maybe it's right. Actually, no. I think, don't quote me on it.
Okay.
I remember being surprised by the research that I was finding. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Anyways. And I find it true for myself as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very, and so like any advice I would give to anyone newly in a relationship or getting married or engaged is get a period app. Cycle Sync. And there are tons of apps where like if you can sync your partner up to your app, and the app will tell the partner what's going on with the partner's body and what they should do to support. Like, there's great resources out there. I remember my dad telling me, because my parents do that. And it's been so helpful. And they're like planning a trip to the in-laws, and my mom's like, should we go this weekend or this weekend? He's like, oh, let's think about it. And he goes and looks at her cycle. He's like, let's do that weekend. Like, definitely not that week.
Right.
You know, like he knows her and how she, anyways. And that's going to be such a blessing, you know? Anyways, so that's such a blessing. And thank you for telling me that it's making sense.
Oh, yeah.
Because I want to educate people on this. I'm passionate about it, in case you can't tell. And I keep going.
Yeah, please.
I talked about head versus heart. Like, men are more logical thinking.
Oh, yes.
And women are more deeply feeling, right? And so, did I talk about... I'll talk... So, how we communicate. Men like to problem solve. You brought it up. Like, they're like, this is the answer. This is the solution. Let's move on.
Right.
But women just like to talk and vent, you know? And that's going to be important to know in a relationship, too. And it sounds like you're already aware of that. Men love... when it comes to creating... like creation, whether it's food or art or whatever it is, men love results, right? Like, I did this and this, but women love the process. So, like, as a feminine woman who's trying to be, that's good for me to know. So instead of, like, women do love the food that they make, but they love the process of making the food more. And then once I learned that and I was like, oh, let's lean into that. Let's turn on some music. Let's enjoy this. It become, oh, I feel so feminine. Like, I don't know, you know?
Yeah.
So
that's actually so interesting because I like creating stuff. I love creating a podcast.
That's the human humans love to create.
And I find when I get, like, we talked about this podcast and it doesn't make money. You asked me that.
Yeah.
And it, like, right now, no. And sometimes when I start to think about that, like, I get thinking about, oh, I need to make this, like, I got to find a way to make this have
very
some
masculine.
results.
Yeah.
I almost have a hard time making the podcast and reaching out to people and creating the material because I'm
not producing results that you want.
because I'm too focused on the results and I don't enjoy the process anymore.
Where women would be like, I don't care, I just love talking and creating and connecting, you know.
And so as soon as I tell myself, like, okay, stop worrying about the results of this and just enjoy the process.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I'm tapping into more of feminine energy in that space.
Yeah.
But it becomes way more fun because then I'm like, okay, I do enjoy this process. Yeah. But yeah, when I'm focused on the results, it's like hard for me to really get creative.
But men, I will say, I don't want to jump too ahead because I got like so many notes. But
yeah, please, if that's coming up, go ahead.
Yeah. That's what up next. So men, there's a book. I can't remember the author. I haven't read it. I just know this is the name of it. It's called The Way of the Superior Man. I want to read it. It's about a man who wants to... She's looking it up.
Yeah, please.
It's The Way of the Superior Man. It's a good book for men who want to step into their masculine energy.
Yeah.
Or learn how to. He says that men are motivated by... Oh, here to see. I've never even read it. I want to read it. It's on my book list this year.
By David Dita.
Yeah, that sounds right. I don't know if it's good. I don't know if it's... But he says that men are motivated by challenges. Like... Let's do this, like challenge motivated, where women are not.
Interesting.
Can you guess what women are motivated by?
I wouldn't know.
Praise.
And,
like, some people might hear that and be like, all people are motivated by praise and challenge. But, like, I'm talking in generalizations. The feminine tends to be motivated by praise and saying, you know, good effort, while men tend to be motivated by challenge, you know. And everyone, you have both energies in you.
Totally.
So one thing, too, that you hear a lot when it comes to masculine energy, and I should have maybe led with this. Masculine is the providing energy, where feminine is the receiving energy. And when I learned this, it changed my life and helped me understand my role in a relationship. When it comes to dating, when it comes to marriage, when it comes to even just like my coworkers, my male coworkers, or my brother. I mean, I haven't seen him in 2 years. He's over mission. But even with my dad or whoever I'm interacting with, or friends. The masculine provides structure, protection, leadership, safety, and the feminine receives those things so they can focus on other things like love, nurturing, creativity, relationships, and beauty. Okay? Because if you take care of my 3D world, I can live in my 4D, 5D world kind of a thing.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, that makes probably no sense. But the physical plane, I can focus on my energy.
Right.
That's why I'm like, one of the reasons I'm excited to get married, it's so that I can lean more into that feminine energy and not have to worry about the physical stuff, you know, money or food. I mean, you know what I mean? But we see the giving and receiving energy, the providing in all things. A man gives a ring to the woman, right? And she receives it. He gives her food and she makes it a meal. He gives her a house. She makes it a home. He gives her a sperm. She makes it a baby. Like, we see it in all areas of the relationship. And so when I first heard this, I was like, this makes sense.
Right.
It feels right. And that's how I know that this is, and then also Heavenly Father and Heavenly Mother, like, I don't know. When people talk about women in the church, and I don't want to get on this topic because I understand with my job, and as a female in my job, people tend to come to me for that kind of conversations, but I'm not
What
versed.
type of conversations?
Women in the
just
church.
Okay,
You know, women in the church,
for
the
sure.
patriarchy, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not qualified or confident enough to talk about it. But like when I think about it, I'm like, who was sent to go restore the church to Joseph? Who was sent to go talk to Joseph? The men.
Right.
And we don't know much about our Heavenly Mother, which is okay. I mean, I don't know. Some people might not like that I just said that. But
she's living in her feminine
I
energy.
believe
She's
he's
doing
the
her thing.
ultimate
Yeah.
masculine, right? And I have to remember that Heavenly Father is that, and I need to let him lead and trust him and receive from him,
Interesting. Huh.
you know,
Yeah.
as that. And as a single girl. And I just see, the more I'm learning about it, the more I'm like, oh, it kind of makes sense why they're leading it out. I don't know. And same with men in the church. And, but I also see the need of like, well, why aren't there more? Anyways, so I don't want to get into that topic.
Yeah.
But it's helped me see a little bit more with eyes open. Anyways, maybe I would love to hear anyone else's any other thoughts.
No, I mean, I think that makes sense. I think a lot of people, and maybe it's just they don't know, right? I think a lot of it is not knowing. And probably some of it's poor experiences with like a toxic masculinity, things like
That's
that.
the biggest
make
thing.
you bitter towards
That's like my friend.
the whole thing,
Yeah.
right? But I think understanding that, right? It's kind of like the phrase of, you know, sometimes we don't know, like we can be upset for no reason, so why not be happy for no reason, right?
I love that. Yeah.
You know, so I think it's similar to that. You know, once you understand, you can kind of change your mindset towards it. But if you have no knowledge of it and then you just have bad experiences, then you're just gonna toss it all out.
Exactly.
Even though it's not necessarily all bad.
Well, and that friend came to me and she was like, I met someone and he makes me feel like a princess and he makes me feel like a little girl, like feminine. And I was like, see? Like there is healthy men out there. But I think women can help because I think women are stepping on men's toes. I was pulling the masculine rug from under men in dating. I'd walk up and be like, you can give me a kiss goodnight if you want. You know, I like, hey, what's your number? You know, like,
Sure.
and like, now they're the woman. Like, now they're the feminine, excuse me. And men want to feel masculine. They want to feel manly. And the more I've learned about, oh, no, I don't chase, I attract. And how do I do that? And what does that look like? And what are the techniques? It doesn't mean I just sit and like, don't do anything.
Bat your
right?
eyes.
Yeah, I mean,
right.
but some people might hear that and hate that. You know what I mean? Like
Sure.
they're like, well, I can't. And I think a divine,
I like that, the flex.
I can't. A mature feminine woman knows that she can do anything, but knows that she doesn't have to.
Sure.
The natural man is lazy. The natural woman is not. Like,
For sure.
and so I'm learning to step back and trust. And so one story goes like, she's trying to help be in her feminine energy and her husband keep him in masculine. And so let's say they were she would always every week remind him to take out the trash. Take out the trash. Don't forget to take out the trash. And finally she was like, this is not my job. Like, one, I'm not his mother, and two, he's capable. And so
Right.
she didn't remind him one week. And guess what? He forgot to take out the trash. You know? And the next week came by. And guess what? He forgot again. And now they have, I don't know how much trash built up, right? The next week, he did not forget. And the week after that, he didn't forget, and he never forgot after that.
Yeah.
And, like, our job as women is to step back and let men lead. But people will hear me say that and hate that. But I don't know about, I want to be taken care of. I want to be provided for. So providing energy, the masculine energy, love to provide. The masculine energy feels really good and satisfied when they provide, as long as it's appreciated and respected. Like, I'm so grateful that I'm so grateful that you work so hard to take care of our family.
So so when
The masculine feels,
say
I'll
that
say it again.
Yeah.
The masculine naturally feels really good and satisfied when they provide, as long as it is appreciated and respected.
Interesting. Okay. Yes.
Like men, like if you think of like, I think of really healthy relationships and how the boy pursued her, saw her, he chased her, and he just wants to give her the world, and how fulfilling it is for them to do that when it's received and appreciated, you know?
Right.
And I don't know if that resonates with you. Does it?
No, I mean, yeah, I think it, yeah.
You're like, yeah, well, and that doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I'm like, I would never want that because not that it makes sense, but like, I'm a feminine, like I've got the more feminine energy within me, and so I'm like, why would you? That does not resonate with me. Like, I would never want that.
So what does a female want then?
So, the feminine feels really good and really satisfied when they're able to relax and receive, and they feel like they're safe and taken care of. So think about like a date night. He says, "I've got it all covered. The babysitter's been called. The restaurant's at this time. All you have to do is get ready and be there by 7." And she's like, really? You know?
Right.
And you've heard that story before. Like, I don't know if you have, but like dating, like that's the feminine wants to just relax and focus on beauty and creating and nurturing and be taken care of. But also, so there's a balance. It's a balance in all things. And sometimes you got to step up and you got to make the reservation and do the plans because he's sick. Or you know what I mean? Like,
right. There's give and take.
There's 80-20 method, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, so those are just some of my thoughts, and that has blessed my life immensely.
Yeah.
Masculine and feminine energy.
Huh. That's super interesting. I mean,
right.
I like, I've heard pieces of that before, but hearing it kind of broken out like you just explained it, and you did a great job, by the way.
Thank you. I had my notes, so I was feeling confident.
I think you're close to being able to teach that class. I really do.
Oh, what?
I think you're close to being able to teach a class.
Oh, well, I was wanting to teach about the cycle. I wasn't going to focus on feminine and masculine, but as I was driving over here, I was like, maybe I should just do both, like put it in together, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it fits.
Yeah.
I think it helps. People go, oh, okay, I get the two together.
Yeah.
Huh.
And
Yeah.
just casually bring up grounding.
And then grounding just on the side. No, I think it's really.
Well, I'm teaching him like.
I think people, obviously, if they see it as you're trying to squeeze me into a box or a role, people get fight against that.
But that's the gender. That's like gender roles.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But it's like I like how you said, you can dip between the two.
Yeah.
It's not one or the other.
Yeah.
But if you have a better understanding of how men work, how women work, and
what they want, what they need.
Right. And the purpose and the role and understanding who people are, like you're going to be able to function better.
Yes, and be happier. And that's something that I've experienced.
Yeah.
Understanding my feminine energy, it has enhanced my life and given me purpose and direction in relationships.
Yeah.
I think we're just confused. Everyone's confused when it comes to dating.
Yeah.
Like, the man's like, do I call her? Do I pick her up? Do I pay? And the girl's like, I'm going to try to pay. You know what I mean? Like, and when girls offer to pay, they're usually testing you. Like, consciously or subconsciously. Like, I can pay. Like, no, I really can't. And, like, and they're just waiting for a masculine man to be like, no, I will. You know, or whatever. That's just another, like.
Yeah. No, I think, I mean, and I don't know. Dating has gone so difficult. I feel bad for younger generations because I think they're even more confused.
Yes. And I brought this up one of my classes one time.
Yeah.
I will never do it again because I had too many parents call me afterwards. They were not very happy. But once again, I think they were confusing gender roles with feminine energy, and the priesthood got brought up too. And
that's so funny that parents would be. Oh, I'm curious to see what you said because, anyways, go ahead.
What?
I just think it's funny when I think parents are confused a lot of times.
Yes, and the parent that came to me, I was like, "You are the masculine man in your relation." But that's the thing. Gender isn't like maybe she wants to be, maybe she does, you know, and that's what makes her happy. And I know for me, this is all just helped me. The more I've learned about it, and the more I've stepped into my feminine energy, the more energy I've had.
Yeah.
And the happier I've been. And when I was in my masculine, I was drained and it was exhausting. And that's the best word to describe it. I was exhausted.
Sure.
And so it's kind of a good idea for you to think, like, am I exhausted? How am I feeling? Because if you're in your masculine energy and you're like, this is great, I love it, like, I have no complaints, then listen to those. And what does that look like? And do those things to make you feel better. But it tends to be.
Well, and I think one thing, you know, as we've been talking, you have an open mind that's like wanting to learn, right?
Yes.
And I was talking to this one guy on the podcast a couple weeks back, and we discussed how he was talking more in a sense of communicating with his kids, and how he had to learn how to be okay with like this son or daughter has to be communicated one way and this and vice versa. And we talked about how it really requires to understand somebody else requires you to put your ego away.
Yeah.
But also to understand yourself requires you to put your ego away. And I think with this as well, like you may think, well, this is just who I am.
I'm a girl boss.
Right.
Like, yeah, I can handle anything a man can handle. And yes, I can.
Yeah, totally.
But
maybe you might be happier. What if you try?
What if you actually love wearing a dress?
Yeah.
That's the gender role vibe. But like
Yeah.
they like beauty. Like being feminine doesn't mean you have to do your hair and makeup and wear a dress every day. But it does mean taking care of yourself and putting effort into your appearance because that's what makes you feel good. You know, and that doesn't mean makeup. It could be brushing your hair and brushing your teeth and putting some moisturizer on or whatever. Anyways.
Yeah, it's like the grounding. What's the harm, right?
What's the harm?
Just give it a shot.
Just give it a shot and then see if it resonates with you.
Yeah. So, okay, tell me about this. You told your students something, and then the parents. What?
Oh, that's just drama. I was just the feminine and masculine energy stuff, but I wasn't as well versed as I am right now. I didn't have notes in front of me. I wasn't able to communicate, and the priesthood came up in the conversation. And
I see.
I made an assumption, and that assumption got to a parent or bugged a student, and they went to their mom, and then the mom came to me and was like,
"Yeah,
that's it."
The priesthood one's such a weird. People get oddly triggered by that.
I think it makes sense when feminine, masculine energy. I don't know. It makes sense to me.
Yeah.
And I don't have issues with it. But it really does bug people. But as I've learned about feminine, masculine energy, it has helped sit better with me. All of that, the topic of the priesthood. And men holding it. So
yeah.
I don't know. But I would prefer not to get into that.
No, you're good. Yeah.
Because I'm not versed.
You mentioned dating.
Yes.
And so I'm a little curious about what's the dating scene like? What are you seeing out there? Because I think everybody's experience. You're obviously working with younger kids growing up trying to date. You have your own dating experiences, and then also you've mentioned learning what you've learned has been greatly helpful in the dating scene. So tell me a little bit about that.
I will share with my observations of the younger generation.
Sure.
They are always. I'll share every once in a while my personal life, like, oh, I'm going on a date this weekend. And they're like, no way, that's crazy. You have a boyfriend? I'm like, no, we're just going on a date.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, well, that's weird. Okay. And then I'm like, oh, yeah, we went on another date. Oh, my gosh, are you guys together? And it's like, no, we just went on another date. Well, to them, when you go on a date, you're together. Mm-hmm. And I think that's because they go through such a talking stage on their phone. I mean, I don't do text. Like, I don't do talking situationships. Like, I had one when I was in high school, and I've never, I don't.
Never gone back.
Yeah, never gone back. It wasn't for me. It took a long time to quit, whatever. Trying to quit.
Yeah.
But I think that they text their crush for so long, and then when they go on that first date, it's like official, for them in their mind and their eyes. So when they hear that I'm going on a different date every week or whatever, not that I am, they're always like, what? You're crazy. They're like, Sister Bingham, you're crazy. You're just dating everyone. And I'm like, no, I don't understand. Like, how else are you supposed to get to know people?
Right. So
that's what I'm observing from the younger generation. And it's scary. It's sad. And also the confusion of, like, who asks who, what's my job on the date, that kind of stuff is very confusing for them.
I feel like now I've probably seen a little bit more on the guy side because my younger brother. I feel like it's almost the workup to actually ask the girl out is such a ordeal. Not necessarily because it's hard, but I think in their head,
it's scary.
It's like this impossible. For me growing up, I was like, I'm excited to go on a date.
Yeah, you want to be married. You want to kiss girls. You want to, hold their hands. And so that motivates you to do the scary thing.
Right. And so I don't know if it's a lack of motivation. I don't know if it's because they're not used to talking. So I feel like you have some opinions on that.
Well, research has shown that this is, I don't know the numbers. I'm not an expert, but testosterone levels are dropping in young men. And I think that might have something to do with it, right? Because that helps with the drive to, want to get married and have children. And if you don't have that drive or that motivation as strongly as maybe previous generations, then you're not going to feel as motivated to.
You're going to lack confidence for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And ask girls out or whatever. So I don't know.
Yeah.
That could be something.
Yeah.
And also, they don't know how to communicate with male or females with the technology, right? So they're losing a disconnect there, and their dopamines are all being messed with. I was just watching a research video on dopamine and how that's been affecting everyone, you know. But I'm not an expert. I just literally
Just like to look it up.
yeah.
Yeah. No, it is a little scary to see, because I don't really see a lot of younger kids going on dates. Not really. Or they're group hanging out, you know, like group hangouts.
Yeah, I'm all for group dates or hangouts, but
when it just stays there, you know.
I will say something that we're really lacking in our dating culture, our age and younger, excuse me. I guess I have a whole rant right here. Ready for this? There's 6 stages to dating relationships. So there's 0, because number 0 is like a stranger.
Right.
Number 1 is acquaintance. That's your level of relationship.
Sure.
Number 2 is friends, right?
Yep.
And then number 3 is friendship dating. 4 is romantic dating. 5 is engaged. 6 is married. And the one that we skip the most is step number 3, friendship dating. We go from friends straight to romantic. And that is a problem, especially in our culture. Especially in our culture, because kids get married so fast.
Right.
And the physical wears off after how long? And they're like, wait, I don't even like you unless we're kissing, you know?
Right.
And so we skip that friendship dating phase. And it's the number one indicator. The Goffmans, I think, this couple that's research like relationships, and they're the number one people that can predict if your marriage is going to last or not. They said the number one indicator is, are you friends?
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's very important to have a friendship with your partner before you get married.
How do you build that?
How do you build that? Just like,
what
what would you
think?
do with your bro?
Just hanging out. Huh?
Yeah, don't be physical. I think that's my thing. Like, as soon as you hold hands, kiss, or cuddle, like, that's when it shifts. And it's not the same. Do things that you wouldn't do, like, let's be honest, the typical date these days, or
Netflix and chill.
or like, let's watch a movie and then make out. Like,
Right,
that's
right,
like
right.
the thing.
2 mans.
The 2 mans.
What? I've never.
Is that the new term?
Do you guys know what?
I don't know what that is.
I didn't know until just recently. So update us.
Teach
A lot
me.
of people
Yeah.
are doing 2 mans because everyone's lacking physical touch, obviously.
No, explain the term.
What is
2 mans,
term?
though.
Okay,
We don't know
yeah,
that.
I know I am.
Oh, okay, my bad.
So
My bad.
it's basically where like you get, well, because everyone's scared to do anything alone. 2 guys, 2 girls meet up. They both just like hang out, make out.
Huh.
2
mans. Oh, we used to call it something switch. Something. I'll text I can ask, but
Bait and switch.
no. Maybe they would call it double. I don't know. My
Double
friends.
Dutch?
I never participated, but like I had friends that would like switch.
Yeah. I don't know what
partners.
the term is for that.
Yeah, I
but
can't remember, but that's weird.
I never got invited
It's
to those.
usually like because like, you know when you're like going on a double date and you're like, bro, help me out, like take out her friend, whatever.
Oh.
Yeah.
Kinda like
2
that.
mans.
So it
Yeah.
turns like.
We never called it that.
It's a double date, but 2 mans.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
But
like,
it
it's
leads to
lacking
more
a lot of the
physical.
date part.
And more physical stuff. Wow, interesting.
Interesting.
I hate that.
Yeah.
Hate that. So yeah, I forgot. Oh, the stages of dating and
Yeah.
relationships. So yeah, I think our generation is lacking friendship. And you're like, how do you do that? Well, go to the store with each other, wash your car together. My favorite thing to do with my friends is just my chores, my activities. Like, I'm going to the store. Do you want to come with me? I'm going to go tour
Right.
the studio. Do you want to come with me?
Right.
Or like just doing the mundane day-to-day things with the people that I love. And so, yeah, I think that's what we don't do that enough in dating. And it's too extravagant. Like, let me take you to dinner and have these candles and
It's not realistic.
romantic, you know?
Yeah.
And like your parents, the happily married parents, are not doing that every date night. Like their date night is like, let's go to our favorite Mexican food and then get some grocery shopping done and ride motorcycles on the way home. You know, I don't know, like that's their hobby. You know, they're not going to a motel every date night. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so you got to be realistic and find your person that's your friend.
How do you, like, in dating, do you just, like, when you first go out, do you just make that clear to them up front, or how do you manage that, do you think?
I never tell a man, well, now, I've learned now, I don't tell men what I want. I like to see, because I've had too many experiences in this last year where, thank you. You're the best, you're on it. I've had too many experiences where like, I'd be like, oh yeah, I'm a seminary teacher and a temple worker and I love the gospel. And then they're like, so I was studying my scriptures today. And it made me think of you. I heard you really liked Elder Bednar. Yeah, his last General Conference quote was pretty awesome. Whatever. And I'm like,
Yeah. Like, really?
that's not who you are. That's not, you wouldn't have been doing that if I hadn't have said, you're trying to be something that you're not.
Right.
You know? And so I like to not tell the men that I'm going on dates with what I'm looking for or what I'm,
Interesting.
like I had a guy, what are your red flags? And I was like, the basic stuff. And then there's other things that I would prefer not to share. I would love to just observe and see your true color. See you. There's no point in being dishonest, like
Sure.
you want someone to fall in love with you and who you are and not for someone that's not real,
Yeah.
So.
That's interesting. Yeah, I think, because, I think things move too fast.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
Especially in our culture.
Yeah. In church culture, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because everyone's 2-3 weeks, a month.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you just, if you don't date past a month, you're not even seeing the full cycle. You know?
Yeah. You got to see a girl's full cycle.
Full
I know.
cycle.
Like, that's something you need to know.
Yeah. And I don't know. I've been in a couple relationships before where, you can be someone else for
3 months.
3 months.
Yeah.
4 months.
After 3 months, that's when the mask comes off.
Yeah. 3 months, they're like, I can't be this person.
Yeah. I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
I can't pretend. Yeah.
And
so
then
it's
if you're
very
the one
important.
being real, it's a big shocker. You're like, oh.
You're like,
you're
that
not.
hurt.
Yeah.
I felt betrayed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So getting to know them is important.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any questions you ask
Yes.
on dates to really?
Yes.
Would you share?
Well, one question I like to ask, there's a couple. What did you do after high school? Instead of, did you serve a mission? Because that's always like a touchy.
Right.
Like, what did you do after high school? Tell me about what you did after high school and hear what they did. And that's cool. And what's your calling right now? Tell me about your calling. Oh, I don't have one, or I do. Right? That tells me a lot about your dedication to the church or where you're at. That's a question I'll
How involved
ask.
they are, yeah.
Yeah. So those are like spiritual ones. What was the first one I said? What did you do after high school?
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Because there are things that are important to me, and these are questions that I asked, right? This is
Right.
It's just I've asked specific things to learn specific things. I'll ask
People
to look
find
at.
your own, but also
I'll
here's
ask
some good
to
ones.
look at playlists. Can I see what music do you like? Can I see your playlist? Like, oh, cool. Let me see. Do you want to know why?
Yeah, please.
Because I want to know what you're letting into your subconscious mind. What kind of music are you listening to? And that music, your subconscious is always listening, and I love to see what you're listening to because that tells me a lot about you and your subconscious and the kind of life you lead, right? I don't know.
Sure.
Music and your playlist and the cover albums and the word. Anyways, that's
Their focus, yeah.
that's a big thing for me. I know it's weird. Those are weird. I'm just telling you all the weird ones that I asked. And then a recent one that I just learned this week that I've been asking everyone, and I would love to hear your answer, and I'm still trying to think of an answer. But it's, if you could pick, I don't even think I'm saying the question right, but I'm going to just give you the gist of it. It's if you could pick a movie character, a TV show character, or a book character that you most resonate with, who would it be?
A movie character, TV show character, or book character that I most resonate with. Wow. There's so many.
You don't have to answer it
Yeah,
right now.
I'm just thinking. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know. There's so many characters.
I answered it and then realized, okay, that's what I want to be. That's not really accurate to
What
how I
did
see
you
myself.
answer though?
Well, Belle from Beauty and the Beast. That's the expectation, right? She's so feminine. She's beautiful. She's intellectual. She's got a very masculine, beastly man. It's just kidding. I'm kidding. But like I was like, oh, that's what I want. That's not who I am.
Right.
I'm a bit more of a spaz than she is. She's a little more classy and eloquent. But so I haven't decided. If anybody knows, put it in the comments. I remind you of. But what it does, and I'll tell you the story behind where I heard this and why it's so important to ask
Sure.
people that you know and love. So the story goes, this girl, she asked her friend, they were married, or one was married, they were older, one has kids. They were on a road trip and she asked her friend this question, the mom, thinking she was super fun, spunky, and she was like, I think she's going to say like a really fun mom from a movie or TV show. And the mom turned to her friend and said, Katniss Everdeen. She was like, Katniss Everdeen? The one who's like fighting for her life and like surviving? And she was like, yeah. And she was like, why? And she's like, that's how I feel. I'm Katniss Everdeen. Like, I'm surviving and fighting for my life as a mom, as a wife. I don't know what her situation was.
Sure.
And this friend was like, I had no idea. So the question, whatever you answer, it's supposed to like reflect how you think or feel about yourself.
Interesting.
So I think I asked the question wrong. I don't remember. I can go find it. But it's a way to kind of trick people into telling you how they perceive themselves in the world. So I asked my friend's dad this question, and he said someone that I was, like, that's really funny and like big, outgoing. And I was like, okay, I could see you seeing yourself as a big funny guy. But this gave the friend so much introspection onto her friend's life, and they had a deeper connecting relationship. And I thought that was beautiful. And so that's a new. I haven't gone on any dates yet to ask this question, but I have been doing it in my relationships, my parents and my family and my friends and my students even. So
That's a good question.
yeah,
Yeah, because
learn a lot about that person.
Yeah. What?
Oh, Matt, now it's your camera.
Oh, okay. I got you, Kelly.
The question and how good of it is to answer.
Oh, yeah.
Question to ask.
No, I just think people often, like you pointed out, how we see people is not always
How they see
people
themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that could be negative or positive, you know? So that is a really,
Great.
really great question.
I'm excited. I love it.
You'll have to let me know how that goes. I know we're running out of time, but we have a little game
Okay.
that we're going to play. Kel's going to run.
Dun dun dun. What's it
My
called?
most stressful game yet, actually.
I think it's, what was it called? It's your, oh, do you want my phone? Here.
Oh, yes.
Here you go.
Oh gosh, catch it. Oh no.
Oh, wait, that was lucky
wow.
impressive.
She goes-
Wow, just
Just,
No, the way you like
I
clawed
just
it in the
went into
air.
masculine
Yeah.
She was like-
energy real quick.
I stepped into your mouth.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I was like, what a man. Mm.
Okay, wait, where's your spot?
But we know how much you love musical theater.
Yes.
Seeing how you guys met on Mamma Mia.
Yes.
Hold on.
I'm scared.
It's fine. I chose like the easiest songs.
Oh.
Well, you
Okay,
got to tell us the game.
What's
Yeah.
the game?
Yeah.
What's the name of the game?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, Matt didn't come up with one. Was I supposed to do that?
The name?
Yeah.
Use AI.
How about guess that song?
Oh, perfect.
Guess that musical.
Oh,
perfect.
easy.
Okay, excellent.
Oh wait, I'm gonna
That's what
win.
it is.
Oh, I'm sure.
Okay.
Yeah. But I'll give it my best.
Okay,
effort.
I was gonna say.
I'm pretty musically knowledgeable. Like
Yeah.
I know.
Oh yeah.
He's been in his fair share.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Yeah.
I'm so excited
Okay.
for this.
Oh wait, now I gotta time this right. Okay.
So can you explain what you're gonna do?
So I'm gonna play a song
Okay.
from the musical. Only like a second of it.
Okay.
A second.
And I have to
Okay.
guess
then
it.
you guys have
Yeah.
to guess. If you guys both can't get it right,
give
then
us
I'll
more
play a
time.
little bit
Okay.
more.
Do we? Is there a way to whoever wants to guess? Do we just put our finger up? Is that what we do? Like raise our hand if
Yeah,
you.
just raise your
okay.
hand if, like,
Okay.
to go first.
So you'll tell
Or
us
just
who.
whoever shouts it out first,
Okay, that works too.
because
That's
I won't be able to.
Yeah,
that's fine.
I definitely won't
know
win then.
myself.
I'm gonna lose then for sure. I was trying to give myself an advantage.
It's
with
okay.
the-
I'll let you.
Well, yeah, what-
I'm ready.
Okay.
Mamma Mia.
Yes.
What's Mamma Mia?
But you knew that. That's
Yeah,
where that was
I
our
did.
that was our
I'm
show.
trying to make sure I pause it on time because I don't want to play too much.
By the way, you don't have to put it next to the
I
microphone.
realized that
Yeah.
after because I was like,
I'll be
it's
honest.
not playing, and I was like, oh wait, it's in here.
I'll be honest. That's what I was thinking about when she played it.
Oh,
so
you're
that.
like, don't.
Yeah,
Okay, so
so-
that wasn't a point. We
but
won't count that.
we'll give it to you.
Okay, whatever.
No, it's fine. You
No, it's
probably
fine, we
forgot
won't.
anyways.
I don't think I would have gone. That was
My
so
brain
fast.
was like.
Okay, this is the next one. Oh my! Wow, you're really good.
Was
At
That was
Wicked?
loud. That was really loud.
Yeah. Can you turn it down just a... Thank you. Thank you. Was that Wicked?
That was Wicked.
Wow.
Yeah.
I had no idea on that one.
Really?
I'll be honest.
It scared me for a
I
second.
didn't even know it was playing until she said Wicked. I was like, oh.
I started.
All right, so she's 2 for 2.
Yeah.
I'm 0 for 2. 0 for 2. Yeah, sorry.
Okay. Here's the next one.
Oh,
Mis.
Les Mis.
Oh my god.
She's so fast.
I really thought this would be harder.
You got to pick the vague ones. I don't even think that would matter.
Yeah, these are the big dogs.
Yeah.
But that's
The
okay.
thing, I wouldn't know.
She's like, I only know the big dogs. That's
Yeah.
okay.
It's funny. Right before when she's preparing, because she was asking me, I said, "Don't show me, because
Oh, you want
I'm
to play
playing,
too.
right?"
Maybe I should have.
But then yeah, probably. But then she's like, "Well, I'm picking all the May numbers because I don't want it to be too hard." And I was like, "Oh, trust me."
Yeah.
Well,
she's
I
like-
didn't know what I was stepping into.
I'm a nerd.
Yeah, I was like, she
I-
knows her stuff.
I
I'm-
was like, if you guys were playing the song, I'd be like, that sounds familiar.
You're like, oh, what's his name?
I'm like, what's that?
I told her.
Monday
Liz? That's one?
I told her you could pick the most obscure one from the mix, and you'd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe this one will be a little bit
Okay.
harder. Who
I'm ready. I'm ready.
knows?
I'm locked in.
My heart is really hot.
Perhaps.
I feel like I have to meet this. Like,
Adrenaline.
oh, the Music Man.
What?
Okay, so never mind.
That was 2 notes, 3 notes.
Da-da-da-da.
And that's all
Oh,
she needed.
you're right.
76.
Okay, wait.
Trombones.
Play some of that.
Of the same song?
Yeah. Hold on, I wanna.
While 110 corn.
You're right.
In this musical.
I was.
So was I.
Oh, hey.
Oh, cute.
Okay.
Wait, what'd you play?
Ensemble.
Oh,
I want to talk
okay.
about it. It was my senior year. I should have been Marianne.
I should have been.
Oh, actually, you guys now both have. You share the
Common?
same.
I was Charlie Cowell,
Oh my gosh.
and I should have been.
And
He
Harold
got-
Hill.
he got- okay, actually,
I got
I
shot.
even have
you. Just kidding.
because
I
I
shouldn't have
was
done that.
supposed to be the main guy, but
Yeah.
then they.
I played a killer Charlie Cowell though.
I
I was
bet.
so creepy. Had a stash. I was,
Our main guy was amazing.
yeah,
The-
So
was
my,
he?
you know Dallin
Parents-
Noble? Do you know Dallin Noble?
I've heard the name.
He's great. He's phenomenal.
After the play, the parents literally were like, "Oh no,
Well,
don't say hi." I'm
okay.
like, you know he's a high schooler.
Here's why though. I
He's
had like a
a
bald cap. I had a fat belly. I put on a stash like right
Oh,
on
you
my
were
lip.
like,
bought
you
him?
went full
Yeah,
out.
We bought
and
him
then
fake
I bought
cigarettes,
fake
too.
cigarette, like the
Oh,
puff
that's
ones.
funny.
So then I would, so I really committed to the
You
role.
really committed.
Yeah.
Yikes.
You also got low battery, by the way. so-
Okay.
Okay,
so,
wait. I'm excited.
Okay.
Oh,
Hamilton.
Hamilton. Ooh,
That was good.
close.
That was like
I was
a
almost
tie.
there. Yeah.
That was a tie.
Okay,
Good job.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, here we go.
Oh.
Hello, Dolly?
No.
No.
Phantom?
No.
No, no way.
Do you want guys one more?
Yeah. Oh, Oklahoma.
Oh, I don't know Oklahoma.
Oh, what a yeah. Okay.
I
There
don't
you
know
go.
Oklahoma. I'm not as familiar.
All right, this one should be pretty easy.
I only know that because my
Easy.
mom used to make us watch it all the
'Cause I
time.
really like this one.
Hairspray. Guys and Dolls?
No. Oh, your
Singing in the Rain?
thing is dead.
Singing in the Rain.
No.
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 I'll do more.
Yeah. Oh, Seven Brides for Seven Brothers.
No! I'm so sad I didn't get that one. I love Seven Brides and Seven
I
Brothers.
love that movie.
That's such a good one.
But your thing's dead, by the way.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
Well, then just put your phone up there, and then we'll close it out. I'll say goodbye, and we'll. wrap
goodbye.
it.
Goodbye until
If you're wrapping up too
tomorrow.
much, is yours?
Oh yeah, sure. Do that too. Does that work? Can we do that?
Yeah, I mean,
Thank you so much for coming
Of
on.
course. Thank you for thinking of inviting me.
Yeah, this was a blast. I learned a lot,
Good.
and
Me too.
we'll have to have you back on.
I would love nothing more.
Because I feel like we just scratched the surface on some of these things. And
I don't know. There's not much. Just kidding. Yes, anytime.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much again.
Of course. Happy to be here.